Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Some of them.
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do?
In the spa. And people were taken out of the spa. Hired by him. In other words, gone.
Mr. President,
Did one of those stolen, persons that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know.
So yesterday I asked, is he saying what I really think he's saying? Remember?
Thing that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again.
Is he saying what I think he's saying here? And today it's clear. He is, and knows full well that he is, considering that he's repeated the claim that he did not throw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep, as the White House official had previously stated, but because Epstein, quote, stole help, meaning girls working at Mar-a-Lago.
Yesterday, your falling out with Jeffrey Epstein was over him taking some of the workers from your business. But your administration in the past said that you threw him out because he was a creep. So can you explain that discrepancy?
Well, maybe they're the same thing, sort of a little bit of the same thing. But no, he took people that worked for me, and I told him don't do it anymore, and he did it. And I said, stay the hell out of here.
So is that what was meant by being a creep? I'm the travel pool, but I'm with NBC News. NBC fake news. Okay. NBC's one of the worst. What else do you have?
While on Air Force One on the way back from my homeland, never prouder of the welcome that we gave him.
We're in great shape. The trade deal was made with UK. The Prime Minister did a great job. They've been trying to make that deal for 12 years, and he got it done.
Trump was again asked about the rift between him and Epstein that led to their fallout after saying this yesterday.
Mr. President, was part of the rush to get this deal done to knock the Jeffrey Epstein story out?
Oh, you got to be kidding with that. No, had nothing to do with it. Only you would think that. That had nothing to do with it.
People keep writing stories about the time you threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. Can you settle that? What was it about? What caused the breach with him?
That's such old history. Very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it. But for years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out. And that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth.
And in a stunning moment, he said this on Air Force One.
It is pretty soon. We think pretty soon.
Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Some of them.
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do?
In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people, yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Now, here's the thing about Trump including one of Epstein's most well-known victims, Virginia Giuffre here. The timeline is damning for Trump. You see, the claim is that Epstein, quote, took Giuffre in 2000 when she was just 16 working at Mar-a-Lago.
She is a monster. She's worse than Epstein. She did things even worse than Epstein did. She was vicious, she was evil, and she was a woman.
Her lawyers have said Ghislaine Maxwell is not a Jeffrey Epstein, that she has been a victim of media spin.
They're doing their job, but I know that woman. I've known her really well. Put it this way. Epstein was Pinocchio and she was Geppetto. She was the guy controlling
the strings.
Jeffrey. Yep, she was pulling the strings. She had his money. He had her contacts, but Ghislaine was much more conniving and smart than Epstein ever was.
However, in 2002, Trump told New York Magazine, quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Jesus. So not only do Trump's claims contradict the statement given by his White House spokesperson, but pose major questions regarding the timeline of this alleged rift. And if he was aware that Epstein, quote, stole Virginia Giuffre from Mar-a-Lago in 2000 before going on to traffic her, why did Trump call Epstein a terrific guy 2 years later if their relationship had soured?
This feels like, and just looks like, that one of those handful of conspiracies, again, you go to JFK or whomever, that's just going to hang around.
This is a line in the sand.
Yeah.
This one's a line in the sand.
Yeah.
Because this is one where there's a lot of stuff about, you know, when we thought Trump was going to come in and a lot of things are going to be resolved.
Yeah.
We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to figure everything out. And when you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody had been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
This is such old news. It's beyond comprehension that we're talking about. And I understand that this Epstein situation is very tricky for the administration. And day by day, it gets worse and worse and worse. But they are pulling out all of the greatest hits to try to inflame the minds of their most, conspiracy theory addled base so that they hear Brennan, Clapper, Obama, Hillary, and they get activated. And suddenly they won't be mad at Trump anymore for not releasing the Epstein files or whatever he had to do with any of it. It's preposterous that we were talking about Hillary Clinton's emails again in year 2025.
We spent years on this story.
These are questions that need to be asked, and he has the nerve to ask why people keep talking about it. Because you keep changing your tune, mate, and naming any Democrat you can think of to blame while simultaneously saying things like this that make you look suspect.
Remember this, Obama cheated on the election. And we have it cold, hard, blue, and it's getting even more so because the stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So, and you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate, just say, oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election. You'll watch the camera turn off instantly. But I want to thank... That was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah.
So while it was clear that Trump hoped his golf excursion to Scotland would mean a break from the never-ending Epstein news, it's not to be the case. And more questions need to be asked.
It's understandable why Trump's struggling to get even his own base to take his word for it that there is nothing to see here, because to do so, you essentially have to believe everything we've learned about Trump over the years is irrelevant or sheer coincidence, that all Trump did was repeatedly host Epstein at Mar-a-Lago, have him at his wedding, hang out with him at Victoria's Secret fashion shows, get listed as a passenger on his plane 8 times, joke with him at a party while pointing out hot women and saying something into his ear that got the most grotesque smile in the history of human expressions. Tell a reporter, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side, and allegedly hosts a calendar girl competition where, other than the 24 or so women flown in to provide the entertainment, the only guests were him and Jeffrey Epstein. You'd also have to forget about Trump bragging about his ability to grab women's genitals and claiming he could go backstage at his beauty pageants while women were getting dressed, something he was accused of doing by 5 Miss Teen USA contestants, and once remarking of his own infant daughter Tiffany that she's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this yet, but time will tell. Beyond that, though, there's nothing there. Except for a jury finding him liable for sexual abuse, but other than that, there's nothing to see.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.